All right, here we go. It's the Chinese water torture host all by himself. Watch you guys just bolt out. Yeah, Mike and Richie couldn't make it, or at least that's as far as I know. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. It's the Chinese. I got to take that out. Okay. I don't even know where to begin here because there's a lot of different angles that I could take in this game as far as whether to be upset, whether to feel really good about the program, the state of the program. So yeah, I mean, I obviously 100% need your input today more than ever to find out how you guys come out of this. Is this something that we should be happy about? Is this something that we should be really upset about? Because I can go with a lot of different angles. I was really, really pissed off on the pick six, not because it was. I mean, look, should Gavin have thrown the ball? Probably not, but it wasn't because of that. It was because of the fact that I was pissed that we were giving Ohio, like they were getting, look, the player made a nice play, turned around, ran for a touchdown. You give him credit, but that was freaking luck. And it was just so infuriating to be feeling like you look, we got a chance to go up 2 scores here. We're right there. And then have some fluky interception, which, by the way, is the second fluky pick six of the year that ended. Well, I shouldn't say ended because Rutgers did a really good job and so did Wimsatt coming back in the game. But the same thing happened in the Michigan game. A really fluky interception. And that was the end of the game. But this game, we actually had Ohio State. We actually outplayed Ohio State. I can't even believe I'm saying that. But we actually outplayed Ohio State in the football game and lost. Lost by 19 points. Wimsatt did as great as a job as he could have. He was awful in the first half. He was really good in the second half. For the most part, as we know, Gavin Wimsatt. But I've been saying this, man, for the whole season. I'll continue to say it until it becomes reality. And especially this season. Remember, we talked about this earlier. Greg Schiano has now put this program in a position where they are a quarterback away from actually being able to beat the number 1 team in the country. That's what they are. And this is not a knock on Gavin Wimsatt, believe it or not. He is what he is. It's just, he is what he is. But until Rutgers gets a quality quarterback, somebody that can be considered in some way a difference maker, there's some, especially through the air. You know, Wimsatt does a good job on the ground for the most part, but until this program finds a quarterback that can make the easy throws all the time, that can take advantage of players being wide open, getting the ball down, first and goal, and you knew what was going to happen in that situation, incomplete, field goal. It's because we do not have a top-tier quarterback. And I think that's a good thing to feel that, look how close we are, that we could have beaten the number 1 team in the country if we just had a little bit better quarterback play. And luck. And I say that, again, because of the fact that we ran the ball down their throats, which is supposed to make life easier for the quarterback. All right, this is not about slamming Gavin Wimsatt, though. Again, like I said, I think he did as good as a job as he could have. It was not, I don't believe, really, we can blame him for the loss. Yes, it was a pick six. That was bad. Yes, there could have been some other plays that could have been made on his behalf, but it was down to a few critical plays that could have gone either way. And, you know, you have a stud running back on 3rd and 9 going 75 yards to break our backs. It was really, really frustrating because this team played their guts out. And I know we should probably be saying, hey, we're going to a bowl. Let's let's take this as, hey, like I just said a few seconds ago, hey man, we could have beat the number one team in the country, but I don't want to feel like that. I want to win these games, man, when they're there for the taking, because Ohio State's not going undefeated. We know that. Look at that. They're not going undefeated. Come on. So they're going to get beat. So why couldn't we beat them? And we're going to get that signature. Look, beating Iowa no longer is going to be considered this year a signature win. So we have one more chance this season for a signature win, and that's at Penn State. And maybe, because you guys tell me, I believe, even though Ohio State's the number one team in the country, beating Penn State might be more important because of how it will affect recruiting. It's much more of a regional rivalry. It is, we hope it becomes a rivalry, of course, and this can't become a rivalry at Penn State until we beat them. So I'm just hoping that that's what happens. Maybe we can catch Penn State still feeling pretty weak. Maybe they have a weak game today against Maryland and they just keep playing like this until we play them. But I'm just upset. I'm upset. I am. I really wanted to win this football game. I thought it was there for the taking, and I just hate having bad luck stuff happen like that. That was just such a big bullshit fucking play that just it's just so annoying, so annoying. And you know what? I watch these games against these powerhouse teams, and I watch these teams play these upstarts, and they're close games in the second half. But what happens? The big teams always wind up finding ways and making plays, and it's the teams like Rutgers that, oh, yeah, well, we played them tough. But I'm so sick of that already. And I know I should probably feel a lot better because, and I will. I don't think today or right now is the time for us to be going, oh, man, we played well. I think that's a side note. Yes, we played well, great, all of that. But let's feel good about that in a few days. I don't want to feel good about that right now. At least that's I'm going to come to the conclusion. I opened that up by saying I don't know how I feel, and that's how I feel. All right, we're going to go through this game. And again, I really want to know what you guys think big time. And I'm going to do my best to check out the chats. Don't forget, we appreciate all the donations. You can hit the thanks icon. You can obviously hit the chat for donating money. And we're going to go through that in a little bit. Donating to the program, to the channel, of course, that's what it is. It's almost like you guys are sponsoring us. And that's great because this is going to make us, this is what makes me keep coming back. I mean, today is obviously, I'm freaked out with this Ohio State Rutgers game. I just finished watching the end of that Kansas State Texas game. I'm watching a little bit of the Breeders' Cup. I got a few other things going on, just like Mike and Richie. But I know we love Rutgers, and I love Rutgers, and I've loved Rutgers football since I was a kid, and that's about 50 years. And I was there the first time when Greg Schiano took over the program. I was so happy. The defensive coordinator from Miami is coming up. I was so happy about that. With the New Jersey roots, it was really something I was looking forward to. And we went through a lot of losing. But once it started to happen, it was just an incredible feeling. Most of us who are old enough remember the big win against Louisville. And then when Greg left, it was it was tough. It was tough to handle. It really was. I was rooting for him, though. How can you not? It didn't work out for him. And in the back of my mind, in the last few years before he took the job, I was definitely hoping, well, maybe, could he? And then when he got the job, we were all excited, most of us, about the possibilities. And this is exactly what we've been waiting for. Again, it's not a complete deal, and that's because there's still some depth and talent we need, especially at quarterback. But this is without a doubt. I think we talked about this last week. I think so, about what was the best win since Schiano's been back. I think me and Mike talked about that. We mentioned the Michigan State game and a few other games. You know what? This is it, and it's a loss. But this is it. because he may not say it, may not be able to say it in the locker room. Maybe he will after the game. Maybe he will at the press conference. But he will say it to these guys. He will talk proudly about how they hung with the number one team in the country and how they outplayed them. And all you need to see as far as proof about them outplaying them is take a look at the stats. Look at this. Here are the stats. When would you think you'd see this? Rutgers, 361 yards of total offense. Ohio State, 328. And that 22 first downs to 15. No, this was not a fluke. Here's the problem. Field goal, field goal, field goal. That's the problem. Why is it field goal, field goal, field goal? Again, we just don't have the difference makers on offense just yet. Quarterback it starts with, but that's how you score a touchdown. You have a difference maker at quarterback. We just don't have that just yet. Again, Gavin is playing his heart out. His heart out. I think he's been a gutsy player. No question about it. But he's just not at that level. Take a look at some of these other stats. Look at this. McCord, they hold him to 189 yards. I mean, this is like the most overrated 3 touchdowns. I mean, come on. Henderson was going to do this. That's not, you couldn't stop him. This was the big one here. This one, it wasn't 75, it was 65. This was the big one right there. But you can't hold these guys. And again, what is Travion Henderson? What is he? He's a difference maker. But you know what? We have one too right here. Kyle Monangai. I mean, this guy is, I never thought in the beginning of the season, even after how well he was playing, and I know there were some viewers out there that really loved him all along, and you guys get all the credit, because I did not know that he'd be this good. I really didn't. All the Ray Rice comparisons and things of that nature, you know what? They're valid. 100% valid. He's an awesome blocker. You know, obviously he's on the small side, but he is big enough to succeed in the NFL, and we just got to hope that we get him as long as possible. And this is just getting ridiculous. 10 of 25. It continues. What are you going to do? 10 of 25 when your running game puts 232 yards on the ground against one of the better defenses in college football. And even though, I mean, they went ahead and they gave Marvin Harrison, look at it, 2 touchdowns, 25 yards. Well, that last touchdown, how much time was left on the clock? 2 minutes? Yeah. Okay. 2 minutes to go. Let's get Marvin Harrison. Let's throw him some cheap touchdowns. Make it look like he had a good game. He did not have a good game. Deion Jennings, another solid performance with 13 tackles. Toure had that big sack we'll talk about. They had the interception, of course, which was huge in the game from Toure. So Toure gets a sack, he gets an interception. He has a really good game. They definitely pressured McCord enough. They did enough. But just couldn't get the job done when it was all said and done. All right, let me take a look now at the chat, because we do have some. Oh, we got a top chat. We got to talk about the top chat first. Adore Lashes, $9.99. Thanks, Adore. I don't see any comment from Adore. So I guess you're just donating to the program, and we really appreciate that. HJG, I believe that's $2. There you go. I should feel better than I do. I 100% understand. That's exactly how I feel. But in a way, I kind of do feel better. It's just that I know I'm not showing it, but I do feel better. Like I said, we will feel better in a few days, 100%. There you go, Tony. When 80% of the 4 to 5 star New Jersey kids stay in New Jersey at Rutgers, we will beat some upper Big Ten teams. Can't say I disagree. I gotta lower this. There you go. The ESPN and their ads. Anyway, I will say this, though, regarding the 4 to 5 star kids in New Jersey, and one of them was at quarterback today. I think Greg Schiano's talked about this before, and I agree with it. He's not going to get those guys. Will he get a few of them? Yeah. But even when they were successful the first time around, it wasn't like all these players that eventually made it to the NFL and had successful NFL careers. They weren't 4 or 5-star guys. I mean, Anthony Davis was. I don't really remember how many others were. Maybe you guys do, but it was very far and few between. It was those, high 2 with character and really good, solid 3-star guys that he knows who he wants. He knows the guys that fit for the program, and he goes out and gets them. That's what Schiano does. He does a great job of bringing these kids in. He knows exactly what fits his system. And we said this from the beginning of the season with the coaching staff. They have one of the best coaching staffs in the Big Ten, and therefore in the country. You bring these guys in from the professional ranks with Super Bowl rings, and I'm sorry, colleges are not flooded with this kind of coaching talent. They're just not. And then the guys that do not have the NFL pedigree are still really solid, up-and-coming coaches. So he has put together a phenomenal staff, and I hope these guys stay together for as long as possible. HJG, beating Penn State is always more important. There you go. I kind of agree with that. By the way, I have to look through the chat here. Sorry about the time off in talking. All right, I tell you what. Let me go through the game because there's a lot to talk about. So, beginning of the game, they get a quick 3 and out, which was awesome, and I think that was the beginning that really showed you that, hey, you know what? We're not gonna, because how many times did we see lesser teams beginning of the game march down the field, score a touchdown, and we're immediately down? And here's Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country, 3 and out. That was a great sign. We went 3 and out, of course, because we went 3 and out for a while. But then we had the really bad play on special teams, and that was a bad snap, and it is what it is. But the fact is we've talked about it all year. This has not been one of Greg Schiano's top special teams. I know some of the analysts, like the one on the CBS today, talked about, special teams, Rutgers, but he hasn't been watching us all year. He's looking at, they had a special teams block and a touchdown the other day, the other game, and this is Greg Schiano and so forth. And no, but we all know it hasn't been very good on special teams this year. And that sets up Ohio State at midfield, and they're able to score a touchdown on Scott's touchdown over Toure in the corner of the end zone. They go up 7-0. Toure gets a sack, forces a 2nd and 19, couple of downs, a couple of possessions later. And that made it, because anytime you get to put, obviously, an opponent in one of those situations, even Ohio State, you're in good shape. They were able to stop Ohio State, which was important because Rutgers went 3 and out after the touchdown. So they were able to get Ohio State off the field, don't get them to go up 2 scores. But then we had Gavin overthrowing Dremel for a touchdown. And this was the beginning of the first half of Gavin really just not connecting. He just was completely off early. And this is what I'm talking about. I mean, there are quarterbacks. I'm not saying every quarterback's going to make that throw, but even 2 stars. I mean, there are guys that are not very good quarterbacks in college football that'll make that throw. Or at least will put the ball in the vicinity of the receiver. It's frustrating. I mean, we expect it. We know it's coming. The inconsistency is what I'm saying. We know the inconsistency is coming. But that's the thing. He's inconsistent. So even though we know we're going to watch a game where he's going to make some bad throws, but you know what? He's probably going to make some good plays too. Problem is we don't know when that's happening, and it really screws around with your head. And that was a big one. I mean, that was like, those are the situations you just must take advantage of. And he couldn't do it. Ohio State gets by the way, that was a 3 and out. Because once you have that big play that you go for. I believe that was first down. Once you do that, you put yourself in a position when you want to run the football that, too many third and longs early. Ohio State goes for it on 4th and 1 at his own 42, and they get a favorable spot. Yeah, the officiating once again did not benefit Rutgers today. There was some plays out there that, some calls that could have gone our way. And this is the thing. When you are playing the number one team in the country, you're not going to play perfect, but you know the old adage, you really have to. And what that means is while you're not going to play perfect, you have to take advantage of all the opportunities, and you just can't give up certain easy plays, and you have to get some benefit calls of the officiating, and it's just Rutgers just didn't get it all. That's why they lost. It was a great effort, but they just couldn't get, and calls definitely had a part of it right there, 4th and 1. But you know what? It didn't matter. That's what the great part was. It didn't matter. Not on that drive. Because Rodgers made an excellent PD on Harrison on that 3rd down and long pass, and Ohio State had a punt anyway. Rutgers gets on the board. I believe it was in the next drive. Yeah, this is the big play. But before we get to it, it was like Wimsatt misses the big touchdown pass. They go 3 and out. They get the stop. They come back, and the very first play, I forget who it was who was in the backfield. The very first play, it might have been Dremel. Wimsatt throws the ball to the running back who's like 3 yards in front of him, and he throws the ball 10 yards over his head. And you're just like, what? Ugh. But you know what? It didn't matter on that drive because they finally got a first down. Then 4th and 1. And we all know this play. There it is. That's the end of it. Here's the play. We all know. That was such an awesome play. Now, look at Washington. How do you not block that guy? What are you doing? Seriously, what the hell is Washington doing? Look at this. Right there. He's running with the guy. What are you, out for a jog? If Washington blocks the defensive back, we score a touchdown. Period. End of story. And you all knew exactly what was going to happen when that did not occur. We all knew it. Oh, we're going to get a field goal here. It happens all the time in the NFL and college football, so it's not like, Rutgers, we're not the only fan base that deals with it. But anytime you get the situation where you get a big play and something happens where the player just doesn't when he should have, you know what happens. You're going to settle for the field goal. I just don't understand what he's doing. I don't understand it. But that was a great play call. That was awesome. It was the most creative play call we have clearly seen this season from a not very creative offense, even though our coordinator Casey's done a really good job with what he's had. That was really that was awesome. And this is going to be one of the plays that is going to go around on ESPN and on YouTube, and everybody's going to see it, and I think that's a source of pride. But you would have hoped that it would have been one of those plays that would have been the beginning of a Rutgers story. And it just wasn't to be. Because as I showed you before, it turned out that there were just too many field goals. Too many of these. And this was the first one. And that's when you don't have, when all you have is you can rely on the running back for so long, you have to be able, there's got to be, they don't throw to the tight ends. I don't know why, but they don't. And, Strong is one guy that you can go to he's got the size, but he's still a young kid. Every time we get down inside the 5-yard line, if we have to throw the football, I don't even know how many times we have scored in that situation. I'm guessing touchdowns. I'm guessing we've probably scored, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. And again, when we've had to throw the football, meaning like no timeouts left, end of half, it's a third down, you got to throw it, that kind of thing. When we've had to throw the football, I'm gonna guess that we've scored maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns out of like 12 or 15. I mean, how many times have we seen Gavin in that spot? That's why I knew at the end of the half we weren't scoring a touchdown. Let's go to it. So we get the field goal with 7.5 to go, midway in the second quarter. Next drive, we get a break. This is what you have to have. You have to have breaks. The receiver, Scott, drops the ball. That would have been an easy first down for Ohio State. And then they fake the punt. Once again, this is great. Go ahead and do stupid things. This is what, all of a sudden, you're starting to think, oh, what's going on here? They're faking a punt. It didn't work. Dixon nails the dude. I'm sure we're going to find out a little bit about, because it was a story this week about what happened last year. Richie talked a lot about it. I think Richie might have even been the one that asked the question in the press conference. So I wonder how this will go off. I wonder why they faked it, and there might have been something there. Maybe Rutgers baited him. I don't know. But right after that, Monungai for 7, Monungai for 8, gets down to the 16. Wimsatt for 4, Monungai for 9, to the Ohio State 3. Monungai for 2. Wimsatt gets stuffed. And then now we're at, actually we were at the 5-yard line, not the 3. And we get to 2, so we're about the 3-yard line now on third down. And we call a passing play, which I don't know why we're doing that. I mean, we didn't have to do that. That's why, why are you doing that? What successes have we shown this year that Gavin Wimsatt is going to throw the ball on 3rd and 3? This is our shot. Because if you run the ball and you get a yard or 2, you can still go for it. But whatever. They tried some silly pass play to Dremel. They're trying to get the receivers to block. And it wasn't going anywhere. It's ugly. But it's ugly because they just don't have the difference makers in key spots like that. So, after that, it's 7-6. We have to kick the field goal. Ohio State, they get a first down, but then the interception. Teray picks off McCord, and it's going really quick, with the big fake punt and the big fake on the 4th down yard, 4th down on one play that we get a big play. We get points, then the fake punt, and we get points, and then the interception, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, we're likely to go into the half, possibly with the lead, and then sure enough, that is what happened, but we just couldn't complete the deal. I will say this, and I said Wimsatt was bad in the first half. He was bad up until now in the first half. All of a sudden, he kind of wakes up. And just like that, on 3rd and 10, he hits Jackson, 15 yards. And then this is what happens with Wimsatt. It's like, as soon as he gets that first one, it's like, oh, here it comes. And then sure enough, by the way, they were 0 for 6 at that point on 3rd down. 2nd and 8 at the 31. Another really good pass from Wimsatt. That's the one he hits Dremel for 16 to the Ohio State 15. That's with 21 seconds left. Now, Wimsatt does a really nice job dumping the ball off to Langan, who nearly gets into the end zone, gets it down to the 2-yard line with 13 seconds left. Now, I thought they should have spiked the ball. I kind of understand why they called the last time out, but they should have spiked the ball. The reason he spiked the ball with 13 seconds left is because you would have lost 2 or 3 seconds, whatever. But that would have given you the opportunity to run the ball once. And as soon as they called timeout, once again, what did you guys think? Because I know what I thought. Here we go. We have to throw the football. We're not getting in. Because Wimsatt, he knows he can't do anything stupid. He knows he can't throw an interception. He can't take a sack. And every time Wimsatt's in that situation, it's like there's something in his head where he's like, well, I can't make a mistake, so I'm just not going to make one, and I'm just not even going to make a play. And it's like you're just running plays. That's all you're doing. It's like he doesn't even. It's like he'll take one quick look, and then it's like then he'll like throw it towards the area where the receiver is, and it's not even close. And it's like, on one hand you're like, all right, you don't want to make a stupid play, and I get that. But on the other hand, it's like, man, this is why you need the combination of a better quarterback for the most part, and yes, a little bit better talent at receiver. But you know what? I think if we had a more talented quarterback, I think these receivers, I think they're good enough, that especially Strong, because he brings size to the table. Even Washington has a little size. We know Dremel and Jackson can do stuff. We've seen Langan do stuff before. So it is what it is. All right. And these are the things we have to accept. But it's frustrating. So go into the locker room, and it's 9-7 Rutgers. 9-7. Delmarva Fishing for $5. Thanks a lot, Delmarva. Too bad we just couldn't finish. We played better on offense than I thought we would. Good effort, though. Was it loud? Yeah, I mean, was it loud? How was it at the stadium, guys? Because I usually ask that. I'll usually ask Richie or Mike how it was at the game. They're not here. So how was home field? Did we have home field advantage in some way? I know it wasn't a sellout. I guess, I don't know if the time had it to do with it, the weather. They don't want to sit there and watch a blowout again. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Whether or not, I mean, I haven't lived in Jersey since I was a kid, since I was about 18. So I can't really tell you whether or not, no, I don't know if you guys are frustrated and think they should have had a better showing, or even if the crowd could have been more of an impact. But, tell me what you guys think. I'm just making sure I go through the chats to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Oh, Adore, did you donate another $9.99? That is awesome. Love the rant at the beginning of the show. Felt exactly that, and you got it off my chest for me. But love the comment. We're one quality quarterback away from being there. We really did move their line today. Wasn't it? Oh, and Adore Lashes, did you just donate $9.99 for a third time? If we had Powell playing line, oh yeah, that's right. We didn't even have Powell. Imagine that. We didn't even have Powell, and we did a great job out there. If we had Powell playing linebacker, that Ohio State running back wouldn't have gone 60 yards in a dump-off pass. You know what? That is a great observation. But that is why we talk about depth, quality depth. And we've been able, look, yeah, we've had a couple of injuries this year, but for the most part, we have been pretty healthy. We really have. I mean, we have been injured and banged up on this roster a lot worse in recent years. And we had less talent and less depth. So you're going to take these hits, unfortunately, but that is a really good point. And I really appreciate the 3 $9.99 hits for sponsoring the program. Yeah. All right. Where was I? Okay. So it's halftime. And all I'm saying at this point is to myself, I don't want to see a box score of 21-0 Ohio State. And then we're walking into the fourth quarter and we're playing like it's old days. I don't want to see that. Because even though everything was all of a sudden starting to go our way, we had still just kicked 3 field goals and didn't even get into the end zone once and could have gotten the end zone twice. Langan just missing. Monangai should have got in if Washington would have blocked the guy. But okay, whatever. Let's just don't get buried here in the third quarter. Luckily, we got the opening kickoff. And there was pass interference on Ohio State. There was a good throw from Wimsatt to Jackson on 2nd and 6 for 9 yards to pick up some ground to the 45. But then we had the holding penalty on Dunlop, which was the first flag of the game. That's another thing the team has to do in order to pull up the upset. Now, they had more flags in the second half after none in the first, but you knew that was coming. Yet, Rutgers gets a break. On 2nd and 20, Styles for Ohio State interferes on Strong, and we get an automatic first down at midfield. And that's huge because 2nd and 20 with our offense, I mean, how many times have we gotten a first down this year? Then Monangai goes for 13, and he's over 100. And I know he was running well, but I hadn't the slightest idea that he was over 100. I was like, that's awesome. We just ran our offensive line and our running game, knowing that we have to run the football and can't throw it, actually got over 100 yards. And counting eventually, because Monangai went for 15. And then the play of the game. We are moving through the ground. Like I just said, 13, 15. I think it was, what, 2nd and 8 or 7 or 6 at that point. And like I said, it wasn't like it was a really terrible decision by Wimsatt. It was a poor decision, but was it really a play that they needed to call? Did Kirk have to call that play? Let's just put it that way. All right, now here's the thing. I'm going to question Kirk to call the play, but this is the thing. I mean, you're playing one hand tied behind your back because you don't have the talent at quarterback, and you're basically saying to your offensive coordinator, well, when is the right time or the wrong time to leave the quarterback and the game into his hands? Because to me, the longer you go down that well, and again, like I said before, Wimsatt had started to play better. Up until this interception, things were going well since the end of the first half till now. He was starting to zip the ball. He was starting to put him on target. It was going well. I could see why he was being a little bit, I don't know, chancy. But the more you go down that well, the more it's going to bite you. And it's a very fine line. I don't like to critique play calling too much because it's a tricky deal. I've heard it for, as a regular knowledgeable fan for over 30 years. I've heard it for a very long time. And I don't believe in it. What I believe in is critiquing coordinators for game plans, things of that nature. Play calling, I try to stay away from for the most part, but it was annoying. And this was the part that just really angered me. I just could not believe that happened. I just could not believe that a lucky fucking bounce went Ohio State's way. Why did they deserve a lucky bounce? Why? What did they do in this game to deserve a lucky bounce? Nothing. And they got one. And they got a touchdown. And you just felt, I think we all felt, well, there you go. 3 field goals. We should have scored at least another field goal, if not a touchdown. We should have been up maybe 16-7 here. And instead, we're down 14-9. It's like the Wisconsin game. It's like the Michigan game. Then we get another critical bad call from the officials. And this is something that we see in the NFL, and we're seeing it here in college too, is these tackles are getting away with getting a jump start on the call from the quarterback. They're clearly offsides, and these refs aren't calling it. And they didn't call it. And why was it big? Because they get the first down, which, by the way, was their first third down conversion of the game, and that leads to a touchdown drive. Instead of 3rd and long, which they were not good at to this point. I just said it. They didn't have a third down conversion. So who said that they were going to get it? The game stats and the way the game was going would have told you that if they were 3rd and long, chances were they weren't going to pick that up. So the officials allowed a play to go that you should never have allowed. So in other words, you gave them a break. So Ohio State gets a break on a deflected pass interception for 6. They get a break on a penalty that should have been called. And in both situations, Ohio State puts 14 on the board. That sucks. That's frustrating. You can't win these games and upset great teams when you're the little team and you're not getting the calls from the officials. You cannot win those games. But Rutgers did a fantastic job to not give up because they've been doing this all year. Just when you think, oh, that's it, it's over. We're gonna blow this game early in the season. Oh, these teams are coming back. Now it's a one-score game. This is when we melt. Nope. Drive down the field, score a touchdown, game over. We saw it over and over again. We saw it with Indiana too. We have been resilient all season, and we kept it up. And on this drive, 2nd and 12 from their own 46, the big pass for Dremel for 35 yards. Again, another nice pass by Wimsatt. He goes another 20 on with his legs. The very next play, Wimsatt puts the ball perfectly in place for Jackson to come down with it in the end zone, and it's unbelievably 21-16. There's still enough time left in this fourth quarter, and at this point, Rutgers has 303 yards to Ohio State's 199. But then, the second play of the game, and Ohio State, of course, makes it on 3rd and 9, on a check down. Henderson goes for 65 yards. And they put it away. Of course, there was still a chance. We get the ball all the way down once again inside the 10-yard line. Not giving up. Need the touchdown to make this still a game. Unfortunately, and by the way, Wimsatt almost fumbled the ball. Very lucky that Drummel recovered it. But we went, after we got that first down, that was it. 4 and out, and game over. And then Ohio State scores that little easy touchdown to, by the way, cover the spread. I didn't take the game, but if anybody out there had 18.5 or 18 in Ohio State, they're pretty happy. Not so happy if you had Rutgers. So that was it. And, man, it's so frustrating. But we have at least one more attempt at a defining victory in the Schiano era part 2. That is going to come up on November 18th. So taking a look at their schedule now, we're at Iowa next week. Iowa's taking on Northwestern. They have, I mean, we think Kevin Wimsatt is inconsistent and a liability in the passing game. They have no passing game. They have their top 2 receivers who are tight ends out for the year. They basically have one running back. That's what they have. Their quarterback, it looks like he looks like an overgrown tight end. And they play defense and special teams. That's what Iowa does. They have a phenomenal defensive back. And if you're going to beat Iowa, you have got to play disciplined football, because that's how Iowa wins football games. They win games on defense and special teams and turnovers. That's how they win. And Cooper DeJean is a fantastic special player. Just don't punt the ball to him. Now, that's going to be at Iowa, so I am going to say that I think that, again, it's early because we don't know what the Iowa game, but Iowa's only a 5-point favorite against Northwestern. I mean, I just can't believe that. But that's how things have gone for Iowa this year. So I'm going to say, now obviously they're going to be at home. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the spread was around 4. Maybe it's 5 as well. Because I think Iowa was only like they were a very short favorite against Minnesota. Yeah, they were at home as a 3-point favorite against Minnesota. So maybe it'll be 3. Depending on what they look like this week. So it would be really nice to beat Iowa, because I'll tell you right now, as bad as Iowa's offense is, I think I'm going to be pretty embarrassed if we can't beat Iowa, especially if we do something stupid, like if Gavin has a bad game and we have another pick 6, because that's how Iowa wins games. So if we throw that game away and can't beat Iowa, this is the perfect year to beat Iowa, which would be great because I do not want. I mean, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose 3 straight. I don't want to do that. Yeah, okay, if we beat Maryland and we have 7 wins in the season, go into a bowl, when it's all said and done, that will be considered a major success for us this season. But I just, these games are winnable now. This Ohio State game was winnable. And by the way, McCord's not going anywhere. He's a young kid. I don't know how much better he's going to get by next year, but don't forget, Harrison's gone. They're going to lose some talent, Ohio State. And McCord's going to have to step up his game. But we're going to be at Ohio State next year. Though we do get Penn State at home next year, but screw next year. I want to beat Penn State now. They barely beat Indiana. Now, I know it was after the game against Ohio State. They had a hangover. We'll find out how they play today against Maryland. But we're just at a point now where, come on. I mean, didn't we just prove it against Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country, that we are, as long as we continue to play this type of football and don't get stupid, bad breaks, ridiculous balls being deflected for pick sixes, as long as that doesn't happen and we don't get robbed by some dumb officiating, then I fully expect to win one of these next 2 games. And we better win one of these next 2 games. I want to get this stink off of me anyway. Again, I know in a few days we're going to feel a little bit better about this because it will be an impressive loss. But I don't want any more impressive. That's it. That's our impressive loss for the year. If we outplay a team again this year, meaning in the next 2 weeks, forget Maryland. If we outplay Iowa or Penn State, well, if we outplay both of them, you better win at least one, if not both of them. No more. That would, again, that's it. That's your. We outplayed the team, and it's enough of that. No more of that. No more good losses. All right, I'm going to run this out because, as you can tell, my tongue is being twisted all over the place. By taking a look at the chat here. Jay Oza, Rutgers have now lost 3 games on at least a 10-point turnaround on long pick 6 plays. Yep, this is simply inexcusable. Actually, I believe, Jay, it is not simply inexcusable. I say it is simply fucking ridiculous. Because it's all luck. Actually, the Wisconsin one was inexcusable. But the Michigan and the Ohio State ones were luck. Total luck. And Michigan, by the way, killing everybody. And yet, until that interception in the mid third quarter of that football game, that changed everything. Otherwise, if we score on that drive, that's a 4-quarter football game with Michigan. Nobody has played Michigan tougher than we have. And obviously, nobody has played Ohio State this tough except Notre Dame, because that went down to the last second. But that's the frustrating part, is this team is going to lose. They're going to lose. They're not that good. And we had them. All right, let's see. What else do we got here? Yeah, I completely, by the way, Jay, I completely agree. Wimsatt was not the reason we lost. 100%. See, that's the thing, is that it's going to be very important to decipher the difference between blaming Wimsatt or, just as I said before, realizing that he is what he is. And we know he is what he is now. He's not going to get better this year. You know, it's not like at some point, maybe the bowl game, with another month and extra practices, whenever he plays the bowl game, maybe we'll see signs of, hey, you know what? As he turned the corner, could he be different next year? But it's doubtful even that's going to happen. He is what he is, and I don't even know if he's ever going to get better than that, but we'll give him a shot. I say that every year, and you have to give your team and your players a shot, and especially if they've earned it. And he's definitely earned it. So he'll earn a shot for us next season, especially if Suresh comes in and looks really good. Let's say all of a sudden we're hearing really good things about him. Then, hey, you better step up your game, because I'm not going to sit here and watch him play like that if someone is on the bench that has the possibility of being better than you. But we'll give him a shot, because he's going to get 2 more big chances. Iowa, Penn State the next 2 weeks. And you just got to hope that, he just gets rid of some of the bad stuff as much as possible. We're going to expect it. We're going to see it. He's going to overthrow players. It seems like he overthrows someone for a touchdown almost every game. But just don't turn the ball over. And again, as long as you avoid, because I'm not blaming him for the freaky pick 6 in this game. I'm just not. You want to blame him for a bad pass and maybe it should have been picked off? Okay, whatever. But I'm not going to blame him for a deflected pass and a player going 90 yards for a touchdown. I'm just not going to do it. There's a lot of other things to blame Gavin Wimsatt on, and that's not it. But I'm just looking at it as, again, I said this before in the beginning. You go into these games, you know what he's capable of, and you know what he's not. And that's it. And you know you've got to be able to win without him helping you. You just can't have him hurting you. And you just keep your fingers crossed that if players are wide open for touchdowns, that he hits them. That's it. I don't think that's asking for a lot. Okay, I know he's going to get hot in a game. I also know that there's probably going to be a point in the game where he's going to be awful. But when he's awful, don't throw interceptions. And when you have the opportunity to make big plays when they're available, you got to make it. I'm saying with the arm. But it is what it is. He is what he is. This is not like Zach Wilson and the Jets. And I'm not even going to get into that. Gavin's only going to be here, whatever, maybe another year. It's different. I mean, Zach and the Jets, that's something that, who knows? Keep your fingers crossed if you're a Jet fan, so that goes for a long time, and he turns into a really good player. But that's completely different. And I know there are some fans out there probably going to say, and I think they've already heard, transfers, let's find a transfer quarterback. And we've talked about this a few weeks ago. No, why do you do that? First of all, Richie even brought it up. Yeah, first of all, nobody's going to come here for that. They know Wimsatt's here. They're also going to know that Suresh is going to be here. And that's why, at this point, you don't bring in a transfer. I wanted transfers a couple years ago. If he didn't get transfers a couple years ago, you're not getting him now. Because now you're going to have Suresh coming in. That's your transfer. That's your next quarterback. Now you're going to have 2 of them. You're going to have 2 young quarterbacks on your team next year. No transfer is going to come in for that. Nor do I think we need one then. You just got to keep your fingers crossed that Suresh turns out to be the dude. That's all you're looking for anyway when you're rebuilding a program is you get your quarterback play has just got to get better every cycle. So now you get your Wimsatt, and now you're hoping you go from Wimsatt, and then Suresh is the next guy that elevates his game to be he better be better than Wimsatt. And if he is, then that's all you're looking for. Because if you have a quality quarterback play this game today, somebody that is top 40, I'm not even trying to get into the top 20. You have top 40 or top 50 quarterback. We might have been able to win this football game. And I do look at that as a positive. Let's see. Yes, Tom A. I'm still very proud of these kids. They did their best. 100% agree. Wimsatt to Jackson was the best player of the year. Jay Oza again. Jay, I have to disagree. I think the best player of the year might have been the trick play. I know it didn't lead to a touchdown, but you know what? I don't care. That's the play people are going to be looking at. So I feel a little bit, again, I'm proud of that. And again, thanks everybody for the donations, especially Adori Lashes. Really appreciate those $9.99s. Tony, I agree. The offensive line did a tremendous job. And that's the thing that you really have to, wow, did our offensive line actually push around Ohio State? Our offensive line. Now, we're not very good as pass blockers, but that's okay. Because offensive linemen don't want to pass block. They want to run. They want to run down your face. And our guys do a great job of it. And yes, they did really good. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, David Fody. Where is that, Richie and Mike? They, as far as I know, I think I think Mike was at the game, and if he goes to the game, he lives a long ways off from home, I believe. I might be wrong. I don't know where Richie is, but Richie said before. I knew I was going to be doing this alone since early this morning, so it wasn't like they bombed out at the last minute or something like that. They will be back, of course, in a few days to give their own take on what happened. So they're gonna talk a lot about that. They're gonna give their own point of view on what they thought about the game. So you're not just getting mine. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna Splitsville. So before I do, last thing I'm gonna ask you guys is chances that Rutgers beats Iowa and or Penn State. What do you think? Are we going to go 1-1 in the next two, 0-2 in the next two, or 2-0 in the next two? What do you think? Because I'm going to say we're going to go 1-1. Because I think if the way this team played today, if we go 0-3 after the bye, this is not the teams from the last few years. This is a different team. It's so obvious. And by the way, now you know why Coach was really upset about playing teams off byes. Because look how good we played off the bye. While Ohio State played in these big games, Penn State, then they had to go on the road to take on Wisconsin. That game was tied in the second half. Then they had to come to New Jersey to play Rutgers, and we were off a bye. So that's the reason it was upsetting. But now I think all that bye stuff is no longer going to be an issue one way or another. Okay, so anything? Yes, I agree, Jason. A win over Iowa would be great. We'd prefer Penn State, though, no question. But Iowa would be awesome, especially if we could beat Iowa and go into the Penn State game with a win over Iowa. Just imagine the confidence level, because we might need that. Definitely don't want to see us outplaying Iowa, because most teams, by the way, do outplay Iowa. And most of the time, Iowa still finds ways to win. So that's why I'm saying you go into the Iowa game, you can't just outplay them and lose, because that's like, well, okay, that happens all the time to Iowa. So you better outplay them and win. And if we could do that, we're going to have a really, really good chance of upsetting Penn State. All right. Mark, we have a shot against Iowa. Penn State could get ugly fast. Really? Why would you say that, Mark? I don't believe that. I think we just proved today that those days of going even into Penn State and thinking that we're going to get blown away by Penn State, I think if we get blown away by Penn State, that's embarrassing at this point. That would mean that we're not accomplishing anything. And I don't believe that. So I'm going to disagree with you. I should be telling you guys, too. We have a new channel. I have a new channel. In case you guys don't know where I come from, Prime Sports Network, that's my channel on YouTube. But I have a couple of clients, including Ourlads. I don't know if you use the ourlads.com website for depth charts in the NFL and college football, but they do a fantastic job of the NFL depth charts, especially, and that's huge for fantasy football fans. So they're very popular because of that. And I've been the producer of the Ourlads Football Network for years now. and that's translated into the YouTube channel, my channel. We just started the Our Lads channel, though. So all of our football coverage is going to swing over to the Our Lads YouTube channel that we just started. So if you're on, I'd love to see you guys over there at some point. I will talk Rutgers football over at the Our Lads football channel from time to time. Obviously, I only do the post game here on Rutgers channel, but I will definitely be doing Rutgers talk from time to time over on that channel. So I'd love to have you guys over there. So you can subscribe to the Our Lads channel or the Prime Sports Network channel, but definitely the Our Lads channel for you football fans and college football fans especially. Keeping in mind that Our Lads is a scouting service. They are the ones that provide you these really awesome draft guides that come out every year. So I will work something out with Richie next year when these guides come out. We will give them away on the channel. So definitely going to do that. Matter of fact, maybe what I'll even do is maybe at some point before the season's over, we'll do some giveaways in advance. So I'll put that here and we'll give them away. These are awesome. These are like right now the best out there as far as the player. You get all of this player content analysis. You get tons and tons of player bios for the Our Lads. And by the way, they also break down the teams, all 32 teams, what they need. And I have the responsibility of 11 teams in this guide, including the Jets. So it's the Our Lads draft guide. You can get that obviously at ourlads.com. So check that out. And we have already started talking about the 2024 draft. We did our first, Dave Syvertson is the lead draft scout at Our Lads. We just did he did his first rankings release, top 10 at each position on offense. That's available on the channel right now. We're going to do defense next week. We'll get his top 96 the week after. And then we really get going once the playoffs begin in college football. And then obviously after that, it's wall-to-wall NFL draft coverage on the Our Lads YouTube channel. So if you're a big draft guy and you really love all that talk, mock drafts and all that kind of stuff, then you want to check us out at the Our Lads YouTube channel. Anyway, like I said, we'll give some guides away before it's all said and done here on Rutgers for 2023. So thanks a lot for coming in here with me and making it fun because you don't like talking to yourself. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that. And we'll move on to Iowa next week and Penn State after that. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be here